Hello and welcome to this video tutorial for Gimp 2.8. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is I've got Gimp open up here, and I want to make a little more space in my canvas here, just a little bit. Okay, as far as my layout goes, I've basically, this is customized layout. I've got my layers here, color picker, my navigation, my tool presets here. And you may notice in my tool presets that I do have Gimp Paint Studio installed. If you don't know what Gimp Paint Studio is, I will put a link in the description to my video on downloading and installing Gimp Paint Studio. This is Gimp 2.8, by the way. Gimp Paint Studio is just a set of pre-made presets for your paintbrush and airbrush, eraser, and smudge tool. And I use those presets from Gimp Paint Studio quite a bit. And in this video tutorial, we're going to create a I'm going to show you how I figured out how to paint some mountains. So I'm going to start by opening up something that I have been working on. This right here. And this is kind of what we're gonna be doing. Kind of a snowy mountain scene. And you should know that I'm not a professional artist. This has just been a hobby for me, and I've been doing 3D a while, and now I'm into 2D. So anyway, let's go ahead and open a new file, and I'm just gonna leave it 1024 by 768, and that's just a random size with 70. Let's see, advanced options, the resolution of 72, and it really does not matter on the size of your palette. This is basically just a demo. Okay, I'm going to grab my brush tool, and you will notice down here at the bottom of my tool options, there are 4 icons on the bottom, and the second icon looks like a little disc with an arrow on it, and I'm just going to click that, and that also brings up my presets. I can also, I've got the tool presets window open over here, so I could also choose them from there, but most of the time I just grab them from here, and I'm going to start with the first one on there, the basic. And well, I'll tell you what, let's go to the paint bucket tool first, and let's just fill our background with just a sort of a medium dark blue, something like this, and just fill our background. Then I'm going to create another layer on top of that, transparent layer, and then I'm going to grab my brush tool, and I still have my first brush selected. And I also should mention that I'm using a Wacom Intuos 5 Touch. I really do recommend getting one. I don't know that you can paint real good with just a mouse, because you don't have your pressure sensitivity. But I do highly recommend some sort of tablet. Okay, I'm going to grab a lighter blue. I'm just going to crank up my brush size. And by the way, I have my hotkeys for resizing my brush set to F for bigger and D for smaller. And I have A and S set as my shortcut keys for opacity. So anyway, I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to quickly scribble in a sky here. And grab a little bit darker blue and go down here at the bottom, scribble in. I'm just blocking in some shapes right now. Maybe another blue right here. Let's go a little bit darker down here. And that should work. And then I'm going to grab my smudge tool and click my presets, and I'm going to grab remember a lot of these presets are part of Gimp Paint Studio. I'm just going to grab my speed blending smudge tool preset and just kind of smudge these together, and that should give us a little bit of a background sort of horizon to start with. I'm not going to probably do this painting from start to finish. I just want to show you the basic techniques, and then I'll skip over to this painting here and paint in some water and some sky to kind of show you how I did that. Anyway, let's grab a really dark blue here, almost a black, and I'm still using just my basic pen. I'm going to hit Q on the keyboard. I'm going to resize my brush down to 20, and I'm using my F key to scale it up a little bit, and I'm just going to start to block in some basic mountain shapes here. And to do this, what I figured out is I will switch between my brush tool and my smudge tool quite a bit, and occasionally changing the brush tip. So anyway, I'm just still continuing to block in the shape. I'm not trying to accomplish anything exact. I heard somebody call this technique once making happy mistakes because the results will be kind of random. And since I am using the Wacom here, you'll notice kind of up here towards the top of our mountains, my opacity is a little bit lighter, and down here is a little bit darker. And the reason for that is something I'll show you here in just a second. I'm going to grab my smudge tool, and I'm going to grab my normal smudge, but I'm going to change my tip on it. I'm just going to grab this feather looking tip. I think that's part of the default there. I don't know, that may be part of Gimp Paint Studio. And I'm just going to begin to smudge kind of some angles in here, pulling some of that lighter blue down, and grab some of the darker blue and pull it up just like that. I'm going to increase my brush size so I can go a little faster. Like I say, I'm not really trying to show you the whole thing. I just want to demonstrate the what I have discovered that works pretty well for paintings, mountains, and maybe later I'll come back and do another video on just creating some clouds and maybe some rock formations. Like I say, I'm not a professional artist, just a guy who just loves to draw and paint. I'm continuing to smudge these shapes, and you can see that our mountains are silhouetted, are kind of starting to appear. Okay, let's see, I think I'm going to switch to another preset here. Go to my paintbrush, and the preset I'm going to grab is going to be what is soft oil paint? No, where's oil brush? And I believe that is a part of the Gimp Paint Studio presets. And I'm going to grab a nice dark blue. Crank my brush size down a little bit. Just let's grab that feather shape on for our brush tip here. I'm just gonna go in here. Let's make that a little bit more blue and see what it looks like. That's not the blue I'm looking for. Maybe that's, yeah, a blue about like this, and I'm just gonna, these are gonna be our shadows. I'm just gonna, let's say our light source is gonna kind of be coming from the top right, so I want my shadows on the opposite side of these mountains. So I know it doesn't look like much. Let's kind of brighten that blue a little bit. Yeah, there we go. I think that's what I'm looking for. I'm just going to kind of block in these shadows a little bit. And then next thing we'll do is we'll go in there and grab some highlights to paint in. And then you will notice that this kind of will start to look like a little bit like a mountain scene. So I'm going to grab, really staying in my blue color, but I'm going to grab a pretty bright blue, and I'm going to go in on the other side of my shadows here, kind of to start giving us some highlights. And I don't know if you can tell yet, but our mountains are starting to appear. You want to try to avoid symmetry or anything that looks like. So you can kind of tell here that I've got a couple of mountain peaks there that look way too much alike or very similar. So we'll go in and try to fix that. And these are our basic mountains here. And we'll go in and add some additional colors here in a little bit. Okay, so now I'm just gonna pick some colors using my Alt key and pick some of these colors from the bottom down here, some of these darker colors, and kind of create some little bit of variation here. Okay, now let's grab our smudge tool, and I'm going to grab the normal smudge again. Then I'm going to grab one of these brush tips that are used for one of the pencil presets. And I'm going to have my tool set fairly small, and I'm just going to begin to start to smudge, pull some of these colors down. And the key thing is here to get that to look decent is probably choosing the right colors and knowing where to put your highlights. All this I'm still learning, but as I learn, I will share with you guys too. So to me, this is really relaxing. Really enjoy doing it. So let's pull some of this darker color down here. Alright, let's grab a kind of a gray color. Go back kind of a grayish blue, kind of dark, and go back to our paint tool and switch our brush tip again and just kind of, let's see, I want that a little darker blue. Just kind of throw this color in there too. I don't know how that's going to work out. I may end up going back over it and painting over it again. And you may want to pull in a little black into certain areas too. Just grab our smudge tool again, normal smudge, and this time I'm going to choose a different tip. I'm just going to, it doesn't look like it's working that great. Yeah, I guess it is. Anyway, yeah, when using your smudge tool, just kind of figure out where you want to pull those colors to. And now let's go back to our brush tool and grab, let's see, let's go back to our basic and grab that tip, and let's grab a really dark bluish black. I'm gonna bring my brush size way down. I'm just gonna paint some places where we're gonna have some kind of dark shadows in there. And then I'll grab my smudge tool again. Let's go ahead and grab a black first and just kind of put in a few little specks like this. And then we'll grab our smudge tool. And this time we'll, let's see here, smudge tool, normal smudge, and we'll change our brush tip to that little feather looking tip, and we'll just kind of start to pull those colors around there a little bit. can see starting to get a little bit of a variation in there in our colors. I like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some additional highlights, and this time I'm going to go to my brush tool and I'm going to grab my small charcoal and I'm going to turn my color to really, really white. And I'm just going to go in here and I'm just going to kind of dab in some really bright highlights in here, kind of at the peak of the mountains there. And if you want to, you can go back in there and do a little more smudging. And let's look and see if we can just bring in, make our brush a little bit smaller. Bring in some highlights here and maybe pull some of these dark colors in here behind it. That's a little too dark. I want to kind of that gray color, I think, in behind there. Just experiment. Just make happy mistakes. I'm sounding like Bob Ross. My goodness. I don't mean to. Anyway, you can see we get some, that will give us some additional little smaller peaks there, and I'm just continuing to pick some from some different colors there and just randomly put them in. I think I'm gonna change my brush tip again back to that kind of feather looking thing. And just put in some a little variation here, and then I'll go back in there with a smudge tool again and kind of pull those colors around. Let's go to a normal smudge again, and this time we'll grab one of our pencil tips and maybe turn down our opacity just a little bit and kind of just start to pull those colors around and kind of blend them in. I don't want to do it too much. Anyway, you should experiment. I wouldn't try to follow along with one of these painting tutorials. Just watch just watch the techniques and then kind of experiment with those techniques on your own and come up with your own way using those techniques. Let's see, I think I'm going to go back to my brush tool and I go back to grab a maybe a soft oil brush, and what shall we use this time? Doesn't really matter, just experimenting here, just trying to see what we can come up with. I guess I'll use that feather shape again. bring my brush size down real small, and I'm going to grab some really dark grays again and start to pull them in here and there. Just do random things. Just as a matter of fact, you know what I think I'll do now? So I'm going to go back to this smudge tool, and I'm going to go back to a normal smudge, change my brush tip again, and I'm just going to start to pull some of these colors around again. Pull some of the darks into the light and some of the lights into the darks. Just making really small little strokes there, trying to pull those colors together and add some I don't know, some kind of variation. I want to grab my brush again and grab one of these tips here, and I'm going to grab almost a black, and I'm going to try to see if we can't. Oh, let's grab that oil brush and go down to a smaller brush size, and maybe let's grab really dark gray, maybe for some rocks in there. And that really wasn't what I was looking for. We'll go with it and see what we can do. Well, I think I'm going to smudge those colors I just put in there, because that was not what I was wanting to look, but I'm just going to go ahead and consider that one of those happy mistakes. And smudge those. Now I'm going to grab my dodge and burn tool, and I'm going to kind of dodge some more highlights in here. And then maybe I'll hold my control key and use the burn tool, put some darker areas in there, and then grab the smudge tool again, kind of pull those colors around until they look okay. So anyway, this is how I've been painting mountains, and also some rock formations. Pardon me. So basically, anyway, that's kind of how I did it. So I'm going to go back over here kind of as a bonus, and I'm going to go back in over here and paint in, show you some other things here. I grabbed my brush tool, and I'm going to go back to my basic brush, and then I'm going to grab this kind of a watery looking zigzaggy brush tip. I'm going to grab a white, And I'm just going to go in here and paint in some highlights and some water here. That just doesn't look white enough. You can see how that kind of starting to give us a few little ripples and some water there. And then I'll go up here and pick some colors off of my mountains here and kind of start to paint those in there to kind of make it look like there's we're reflecting into some water there. And let's grab maybe this gray here, kind of pull it in there. And along the edge here, I'm going to grab my smudge tool and I'm going to go with a soft smudge. Pull my size down and I'm just going to smudge along the bottom edge here. To kind of pull some of those darker colors out from the mountainside to kind of give us a little bit more of a feeling of a reflection. And maybe I'll go in here and kind of smudge some of these ripples down to kind of pull them out in certain directions so that it gives us a little bit more of a realistic reflection. Anyway, that's all the time I'm going to spend on the water there. Now I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to go to my brush and then I'm going to grab a preset and I'm going to grab clouds. I'm going to grab a nice dark blue color. And I'm just going to begin to just randomly just put in a few little clouds there. I know they look kind of dark, but we'll go in and fix that. I'm going to use my dodge tool and I'm going to just kind of dodge on the top edge of those a little bit. And you can see those little puffy clouds kind of starting to appear a little bit. Now let's grab our brush tool again and grab a really bright white. Put a few more clouds in there. Anyway, in another tutorial I will spend a little bit more time on the clouds. So I'm going to go to my smudge tool and I'm going to grab the ball smudge and I'm going to crank my size down and I'm just going to go back in over these clouds here and just kind of tap them just a little bit. And it doesn't take a lot with that ball smudge to kind of start to get some really nice clouds. Pardon me. Use our burn tool again and just let's grab our brush tool and then go to the clouds brush and then switch to our dodge tool. See if we can get some of those clouds to come out a little bit more. Nice and puffy. Maybe use a burn tool in here, holding my control key. Anyway, that's kind of an example of how to put some clouds in there, and that's about it for this tutorial. Like I said, though, I will be doing some more tutorials on painting in Gimp, and I hope you can use some of these techniques and begin to paint your own landscapes and mountains. So have a great day. Be sure to subscribe and don't forget to share this video.